Hello, hello, and welcome to the monthly Foster Web Marketing webinar. My name is Molly McCormick, and I am the marketing manager here at Foster Web Marketing. And today I am going to walk through the user experience checklist with you. So everything we're going to go over today on this checklist is stuff that you should be able to review on your own website just by looking at the different elements and testing things on your different devices. And then you should have access to make any changes necessary. I know Foster Web Marketing clients have access to do that. And if you're not a client, you may need to speak to your own webmaster. But no matter what, this is going to be really great information to improve your website and really make it more user-focused and more user-friendly. So after we go through kind of the whole checklist I have prepared, towards the end of the presentation, I'm going to show you how you can review some of the more detailed things that go even deeper into the user experience. And these are things that are a little bit more technical, some off-site items that will definitely have an impact on your user experience. So I encourage you to stick around and walk through this checklist with me. And if you have any questions, you can go ahead and put them in the chat box. If I don't have time to get to all the questions today, I'll definitely respond to you via email. So I will answer your questions as soon as I can. But without further ado, let's jump in. So we're going to start with your site layout and your calls to action. And this is really focused on the kind of standardized things that we see across the industry today and what you're saying and what you're doing to get people to actually convert on your website. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about web safe colors. There are so many different types of monitors and displays out in the real world, and because of this, there's no real definitive list of web safe colors, but you will find those lists all over the internet because there are specific colors that will appear the same on most screens and monitors. So you're not going to have one color that's exactly the same no matter what kind of device you look on it, but if you use these quote-unquote web safe colors, you will be able to prevent your red logo from appearing like hot pink on some screens, or like if you have a green color, it's not going to lean too yellow or too blue. It's going to be pretty consistent across some devices. You know, you might see some slight variations, but for the most part, you can look up any list of web safe colors and it's going to give you stuff that's going to be pretty standard across all devices. So a favicon, if you don't know what that word means, it's really just a small little image, usually your logo, and it's next to the title tag in browser tabs. If you're anything like me, you've got 1,000 tabs open at any given time, and the favicon really just makes it easy to see where you want to go. It may seem like a small detail, and it is a small detail, but I promise you will notice when a website does not have a favicon, and it's those tiny little inconveniences or inconsistencies that will compound and really define the overall user experience. So it's important to have, even though it's a tiny little thing, it makes an impact. And then your text and background. Really, when it comes to your site content, you should absolutely have dark text on a light background. It's just going to be so much easier to read. And some people kind of fight back on that. And I will say, sometimes you can have a light color on a dark background, like in headers or on your images, but you never want this for a full page of content. This would be really hard on the eyes to read an entire blog post if it were red text on a black background. So it's really at this point kind of the industry standard to do light colors with dark text. And it's just, your users are going to be pleased with that too. So stick to it. Okay, calls to action in your headers. These are not, this isn't something you need to have on every single page of your site, but for pages like your home page, your practice area pages, your landing pages, it's really important to introduce from the get-go what you want the user to do. You're setting the expectation and you're driving the prospects down the proper funnels. So make sure you go back and review those pages on your website to see if you're able to drive that action from your users by having the call to action in the header. You guys, I cannot stress this enough. Make it easy for people to call you. Those are people who want your business. So put your phone number on every single page. preferably put it in the upper right-hand corner on both your mobile and your desktop device, because at this point, it's really the industry standard to have it up there in the top right corner. This is a non-negotiable item. People want to call you, make it easy for them to call you. Another kind of standardized practice that you'll see on almost all websites nowadays is linking the logo back to the homepage of your website. Most people have this up in the left-hand corner of their site, but it absolutely needs to link to the homepage no matter where you have it. So the navigation is something I think people tend to either overthink or underthink. They either don't put enough thought into it, or they try and kind of cram every single possible thing you could want to see into the navigation. So we're going to demystify that right now and talk about how users are navigating your site. Highlighting where a user is within the navigation just really helps people kind of stay on track with where they are. It's a little detail, but again, it's one of those ones that's going to have a big impact. So if I'm looking under a certain area and I want to be able to come back to it, I can see that I can always come back to the results because that's where I am right now and that's highlighted. So it's an easy, quick win to be able to do that for your users. Okay, this is an interesting one, but logo placement comes with territory that's a little bit of a mystery to some people. So if the logo is placed below your horizontal navigation or a banner on the top of your website, that area is often overlooked. This is this kind of phenomenon is called banner blindness. It's really when visitors on a website consciously or unconsciously ignore banner-like information. We've gotten so used to seeing ads as banners across the top of sites that we've become just attuned to ignoring them. So ideally, you want to have your logo just above your nav so that it can be prominently displayed and people aren't going to be able to ignore it. Okay, and this is what I alluded to a little bit earlier, but an overcrowded navigation can really make people feel like they don't know where to go. It looks messy and disorganized. So is there a way to consolidate any of your navigation items into secondary navigation items? For example, you don't necessarily need to list that you deal with truck accidents, pedestrian accidents, boat accidents, automobile accidents, motorcycle accidents, all under the practice area. You can lump those into auto accidents or vehicle accidents and then have sub-navigations for those different practice areas. It's really just going to keep things a lot more organized and clean, and it's going to help people navigate and make it a lot easier for them. So secondary navigation items, this is where you want to be mindful of those things. When you hover over your navigation, do any of those sub-navigational items become so long that they actually span too far so that they're off your screen? We've seen this many, many times, and it can be an issue with practice areas in particular because people can go kind of crazy adding those. Be careful not to overdo it when it comes to navigation items. You know, try and keep things condensed and consolidated. And you really are going to typically run into this issue on mobile sites. So make sure you go check your mobile site because it happens all the time and it happens with huge sites. The other day, I was looking for new running shoes and I set my filters, but the button to actually apply those filters dropped below where I could click on the screen. So I couldn't apply the filter. I couldn't get back to where I wanted to go. Obviously, I gave up and moved on to a different website. And they lost my business. And that could be your problem too if you've got too many navigation items and it just floats off the screen. So this one is a pretty easy one, but it's just something psychological that we don't necessarily think about. But luckily there are experts out there in user experience that do think about these things. We as humans, I guess I should say we as Americans and English speakers, we read from left to right, and the most important navigation item should be last. So the contact, which is typically the most important navigation item, should be the last thing on your navigation. Something to keep in mind if you're setting this up or if you want to change the placement of where your contact is. We read from left to right, so it should be the most important thing should be last. And then site accessibility is something that we see relatively often. I don't want to say it's all the time, but it's a pretty common mistake because people really hone in on the navigation items and really hyper focus on their big picture themes, like what they do, what they have to offer, what calls to action they want the users to complete. But that is not a user-focused way to approach your navigation item. What does the user want? If they want to read a blog post and they can't figure out how to get there from your navigation, they're going to leave your site feeling frustrated. So make sure all of the items on your site are accessible from the navigation. That doesn't mean every single page you have on your site, but a blog overview page where they can then get to individual blog pages, or a practice area overview page where they can then dig deeper into your auto accidents practice area. Oops, glossed over that. So when it comes to content, we're going to talk a little bit about what's actually in the content, but really this is focused on the necessities for content that's easy to read and user-friendly. I think it's pretty safe for me to skim over this one. Please use consistent font and consistent colors or your website will look like it's stuck in 1992, and believe it or not, that was a long time ago, and we need to stay current and stay updated and stay relevant. So another thing we see quite often is using way too many calls to action within your content. If you have a piece of content that's focused on, we'll say, vehicle accidents, talk about downloading your vehicle accident report. Don't talk about follow us on Facebook and get a free consultation and contact us with questions and get a free report. And maybe you're interested in this other divorce guide. That's too many things going on and people are not going to know where to go. It sounds like I'm not giving them enough credit, but you have to assume that the end user is only going to be able to follow one direction at a time. So keep it simple, keep it basic, keep it focused, and keep it relevant to the content on the page. So with your headline, there's a basic rule of thumb, and it's to keep it short, sweet, and relevant. That you don't want to give it all away in the headline. If you're doing that, your reader's going to decide that they've gotten the gist of what you have to say and move on. So give them a little taste of what they're going to expect or what they can expect, but don't lay it all out there, and also don't be really vague because you don't want to be misleading. So this is a pretty good example you can see here. You know, you've already planted the seed, now let us help your business reach new heights. You know that this is going to be focused on business growth. It's pretty straightforward. It's short, sweet, and to the point, and it's relevant to the content on the page. So I just read these two great quotes this morning about links that I really loved. One is, a link is a promise, and the second one is, labels must set expectations that will be instantly met. So I love that. Your contextual links, which if you're not familiar with that term, it's essentially links within content. So your contextual links need to stand out by being a distinctive color so that I'm not, you know, reading through your site and missing all these contextual links that might take me to relevant information that's important to me, but it's got to also give me information that's going to meet my expectations. I have seen way too many times people abuse this. Contextual linking is an important element for SEO, and so people think, well, I'll just write, you know, you should talk to an Ohio personal injury attorney, and then they link back to the homepage. That's not helpful information. That doesn't take me somewhere where I can get more details about that Ohio personal injury attorney. It just takes me back to the homepage of the site that I'm already on. So do your best to really keep the contextual links relevant and focused, and deliver on the promise that you're making. So chat is a great way to give users instant gratification, so long as you're doing it right. So when it comes to chat scripts, test your chat. Like, go to your website and ask a question to the chat operator and make sure that they're giving you great information, or they're helpful, or it's giving you something. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a website and I've said, hey, I'm looking for information on something pretty standard, like we'll say business hours. And the chat operator says, sure, hold one moment, please. And then they come back with, the representative best able to answer your question is not available right now. May I please have your email address and phone number, and we'll get back to you. That's not helpful. That's not good chat practices. So review your chat scripts, make sure you're giving your chat operators great information so that they can provide the user with great information.
Timing and placement are big for chat.
It should pop up early enough that it's helpful if I have a question, but not so early that it's disruptive and bothersome. And that's really, you know, a matter of kind of testing when people are clicking on the yes, start chat now, or people are engaging with chat. There's no, you know, direct timeline that says it absolutely must be 5 seconds in, but 5 seconds in tends to be a pretty good, that's enough time that people have spent a little bit of time on your site, and maybe they're interested in more information, but not too much time that, you know, you're going to miss the opportunity to chat with them. So to kind of continue with that thought, just test the timing of your chat. And now I'll jump to images. Using real people in your chat invitation is actually been proven to convert better. It's just more inviting, and you know, those generic customer service portraits are not necessarily the most welcoming, and it doesn't kind of make the relation back to who you are and that this is your law firm or this is your medical practice. So putting an actual portrait in there of yourself or of your staff is a great way to draw in more people for the chat option. So the mini contact form is available pretty much all across your site. So you want to make sure that it's a useful and helpful contact form. Does it have a headline? Headlines should be short, sweet, and to the point, just like they should for all content pages, but it's also a way for you to tell people what they can expect next. So tell them what to do and what they can expect with a headline. Field names are, for some people, they are really frustrating, because if there's a field name within the form, like you see down here where it says phone, and the lead, or your user clicks into that field and the word phone disappears, they're easily going to forget what they're supposed to be entering here. And that, I can guarantee that happens to people all the time. So you want to make sure that the field names are visible in some fashion, even when people have clicked in and are starting to type in there. And then required fields, you know, you need to indicate to people that this is a required field. I don't know if you've ever gone to fill out a form and not known it's been a required field, and you hit submit and it won't accept your information. That can be really frustrating. But really, I mean, an asterisk is an industry standard of this is a required field. People know what it means, so it's a good little icon to use for required fields.
So submit can actually be a great word choice for the form submission button.
But it's not always ideal. You know, if you have a different kind of offer, you may want to try something different, be more specific. So free case evaluation is a good option, but you can always test these things and see what works best for you. So mobile is really a big one when it comes to user experience. More and more people are using mobile than desktop sites now, so this is an absolute kind of necessity item to get right. And I'm absolutely sure that many people are not testing their mobile site as much as they should be, and I am I am one of those people. I will build pages on the site and completely forget about mobile. I, sit back all satisfied with my work, and then someone says, oh, that table's going to break on mobile, and something I don't consider. So really a good thing to go back and test periodically. So landing pages, especially since people are using mobile to convert more than ever, these have to be styled correctly. This is, if it's not done well, it's going to cause them to lose trust, and this is the most important moment for them to have trust, so you don't want to lose their trust there. Like with those running shoes that I was showing you earlier, I couldn't fill out the form. I couldn't buy the shoes. I couldn't see what I wanted, so I left. I abandoned the page, and that was a missed opportunity for them. And I will say they have since fixed the problem, which was great to see. Click to call, you have to have it. This is absolutely, when I say industry standard, this is it. Like at this point, if I can't click to call on your website, then I'm probably not going to call you at all. That should be so simple and so easy. These are becoming a staple on websites as well, directions, these directions, I mean. We've all become so dependent on apps to give us directions, I use Waze to get me everywhere. Sometimes I'll use Google Maps, but having it on your website is so crucial. And speaking of which, you have to have a map and buttons on the site that even people with the fattest fingers can click on. And I mean it seriously. Don't force people to pinch and zoom on your mobile site to read your content, to click on your links, to get directions on your map, to press buttons. Everything should be easy and seamless for people on mobile. You don't want to create these unnecessary roadblocks, and that's definitely the case when you've got a really un-user-friendly mobile site. So when it comes to navigation in mobile, it can feel a little bit overwhelming for people to see all of the items. One simple way to resolve that is with the kind of hamburger icon that you see on a lot of mobile sites, and it's just those 3 little dashes that indicate to you if you click this, it's going to drop down and expand to more options. So that's a great way to kind of keep things consolidated and condensed and keep them clean and easy to navigate. Again, font size. No pinching and zooming. That's not nice to people. Don't make them do that. Hover bars and pop-ups. So I was looking for an example of this, and it's funny I couldn't find one, I think because Google does not like to serve those results to me. So something to keep in mind. That's the kind of pop-up that you see. A good example would be when you visit a news website and there's like that video that comes up at the top of the screen, and you're trying to scroll through and read the content, and you just can't get that video to go away, and it's taking up half of your mobile device. That's really frustrating for users. Don't do that to them. Don't force them to keep pop-ups there. If you're going to include a pop-up on your site, make sure they can click out of it. And then landing pages are really kind of the, I don't want to say the crux of everything, but this is where you're actually turning users into prospects. You're turning people into leads. So this is a really important element on your website. And one thing that goes a really long way is social proof. Badges and testimonials remind your visitors that other people have been there, they've worked with you, and now you're making a good decision by being here too. I don't know about you guys, I always read the reviews before I buy anything online. Even if I know they filter the reviews to show the best reviews first, they still play a big role in a lot of people's buying decisions, because those are real reviews regardless of, whether I'm being shown the best ones first. I can see the things that they like about working with people, or that they like about the product that I'm looking at. So it's a really important element on a landing page to have social proof. Images really just are there to make an offer more appealing, but they make an offer so much more appealing. And you can do something simple, like you can use, if you're familiar with the software Canva, it's a really easy way to just make pretty pictures and images that you can brand, and you can do it for free, and they have paid options as well, I believe. Or you can go all out and hire a designer, you know, to design your actual book cover image. And that really keeps your branding consistent and ensures that the next time you have an offer to make, you have a similar book cover image or something that brands your business and ties it all back to you once you've got them all lined up like we do here. So, and we offer that if you guys are interested in book covers. Let us know. You can reach out to me or you can reach out to customer service. And I'm Molly at fosterwebmarketing.com if you're interested. And then next steps. What can I as a user expect if I'm going to fill out this form or if I have filled out this form? This is a critical moment that shows me that I can either trust you or not trust you, because you've laid out the next steps, and whether or not you actually follow through with that is going to define our relationship moving forward. So lay out what's supposed to happen next and then follow through on it, because that's going to be, you know, a critical moment there. And then if you have something else that these people might want, offer it to them. You know, this is a great opportunity to just keep people interested and engaged and excited. So, and I'll even go back, you'll see here, you know, this is what somebody gets when they fill out a form on the site. We're giving them more information. And here's a place where you can have more than one call to action because they've completed the action. You're not going to really distract them here. You're giving them the opportunity to do something else. But on those initial landing pages, you know, don't go crazy with calls to action. Keep it simple. And then, like I promised at the beginning of the webinar, I'm going to tell you how you can get even more information on the user experience. And this includes things like, what's your page speed like? Do your images all have alt tags? Are you using site search effectively? What do your thank you pages and emails look like, and how can they be improved? What does your newsletter sign up page look like? What does your customer validation look like? All of these things are a huge part of the user experience, and they need to be reviewed and answered. And if you're interested in any of these items and having us take a look at them, including all the things I just went over with you, which they absolutely will look at, visit fwmdesign.com and fill that out, fill out the form on that page. That is a design consultation. And Chad and Matt will actually go through the items on your website and take a look at what's working, what's not, if it's, you know, providing a great user experience, if it's not providing a great user experience. And they'll kind of tick those boxes with you on the checklist and give you recommendations and suggestions for how you can improve on those items. So it's a really great opportunity, and I would encourage you guys to take advantage of that. And with that said, we are all done. So if you guys have any questions, you can find me at Molly at fosterwebmarketing.com. I'm really glad you guys joined me for today, and I look forward to seeing you guys next month. Thanks very much.